He talked about spending time with Cassie and how Cassie said that she really couldn't leave Diddy because she was kind of stuck there.
That's just a glimpse of what Diddy's butler revealed in court. His description of Cassie's situation sounded more like captivity than a relationship. And while some may question Cassie's credibility, house staff like this, they see everything. What he exposed about life inside Diddy's mansion is wild. Let's get into it. When the help spills the tea. Now let me paint you a picture of what's really happening in that Manhattan courtroom. Picture this. You walk into what you think is going to be your dream job working for one of hip-hop's biggest moguls. And the first thing they tell you is that you're entering someone's kingdom where your sole purpose is to serve him. That's not a job description, bestie. That's a red flag parade with confetti cannons. That's like walking into McDonald's and them saying, "Welcome to Ronald's Dominion, you are now a serf." The audacity is astronomical. The person who delivered this bone-chilling testimony was David James, Combs' former personal assistant from 2007 to 2009. And let me tell you, this man came to court with receipts longer than a CVS receipt. When he described being told they were in Mr. Combs' kingdom, where everyone was there to serve him, James literally broke down in tears on the stand. Tears, y'all. This grown man was so traumatized by his experience that just talking about it in court had him reaching for the tissues.
And he kind of like cried, took a tissue. Sorry, I feel like I smile sometimes and it's just my face. I can't help it. I'm not smiling. I don't mean to smile.
But David James wasn't the only one spilling tea, so hot it could melt glaciers. We also heard from George Kaplan, another former assistant who worked for Combs from 2013 to 2015. And honey, his testimony was like a masterclass in how to enable your boss's alleged criminal enterprise 101. This man testified about preparing hotel rooms with supplies that I can't even fully describe because we keep it family friendly here. But let's just say it involved way too much baby oil and other questionable items for what should have been normal business trips. Now here's where it gets absolutely wild. James testified about his daily routine, and I need y'all to understand just how controlling and obsessive this whole operation was. This man would arrive at Diddy's house before Diddy even woke up to set up his entire day like some kind of lifestyle curator. We're talking about arranging business documents, setting up his calendar, turning on his preferred TV channel, coordinating with the chef for breakfast. This wasn't personal assistance. This was basically being someone's human remote control. And the hours, oh my gosh, the hours. James was pulling 20-hour workdays regularly, sometimes working from 8 a.m. to 4 a.m. the next day for just $70,000 a year. That's like $9.50 an hour if we're doing math, which is less than what some teenagers make flipping burgers. But this wasn't just about exploitation of workers. This was about creating a system where people were so overworked and dependent that they couldn't question what was happening around them. The testimony revealed that James would accompany Diddy to everything throughout the day, from business meetings to personal dinners to studio sessions, and then whatever was happening after that. And trust me, based on what we're learning in this trial, that whatever was probably not karaoke nights and board games. But here's what really gets me fired up. James testified about seeing one of the security guards carrying a knife. A knife! What kind of music mogul needs armed security carrying knives around? That's not celebrity protection, that's intimidation tactics straight out of a mob movie. And then we get to the part that absolutely broke my heart. James talked about spending time with Cassie and how she told him she really couldn't leave Diddy because she was stuck there, as he paid for everything. Y'all, this is financial abuse 101. This is classic controlling behavior where someone makes their victim completely dependent on them so they can't escape. It's like being trapped in a golden cage where the key is held by your captor.
He talked about spending time with Cassie and how Cassie said that she really couldn't leave Diddy because she was kind of stuck there. He paid for everything. And he discussed a couple girlfriends, Kim Porter, Sarah, Tara, Yana, and Cassie.
Now, I need to address something that's been driving me absolutely insane about how some people are talking about this case. There are folks out there trying to paint Cassie as some kind of willing participant or gold digger, and that narrative is not just wrong. It's dangerous and harmful to all survivors of abuse. When someone controls your finances, your career, your living situation, and uses physical violence against you, that's not a relationship. That's captivity with a pretty bow on top. The defense team is clearly trying to muddy the waters by bringing up every little detail they can twist. But let me tell you something. Abusers are masters at making their victims look complicit. They create situations where the victim has to make impossible choices just to survive, and then later, those choices get weaponized against them. It's like pushing someone off a cliff and then blaming them for falling. What we're seeing unfold in this courtroom isn't just about one celebrity's downfall. This is about a systematic pattern of abuse, control, and exploitation that allegedly went on for decades. We're talking about a man who supposedly built an entire empire on the backs of people he controlled through fear, financial dependence, and violence. And before we dive deeper into this rabbit hole of absolute chaos, I need y'all y'all to understand that what we're about to explore in the next parts of this story gets even more disturbing. We're going to hear about incidents that will make your blood boil, testimony that will have you questioning how this went on for so long, and details about a lifestyle that was anything but glamorous behind closed doors. The fact that it took this long for people to come forward just shows you how powerful and intimidating this man was. When you have that much money, that much influence, and that many people dependent on you for their livelihoods, speaking out isn't just brave, it's practically heroic. When glamour becomes a nightmare. Let's start with the star witness who's been absolutely serving truth on that stand, our Queen Cassie Ventura. This woman walked into that courtroom and said, "You know what? I'm done being silent. And honey, when I tell you she came with receipts, I mean she brought the whole filing cabinet." Cassie testified for nearly 20 hours over 4 days, detailing a decade of absolute hell disguised as a glamorous relationship. Now let me paint you a picture of what Cassie described, because the level of control this man had was absolutely unhinged. We're talking about someone who controlled every aspect of her life, including her career and finances, and used that control to force her into situations that no human being should ever have to endure. But because we keep it family friendly here, let's just say he orchestrated private gatherings that were anything but consensual or normal. The prosecution revealed that Diddy would force Cassie into these inappropriate private encounters with other people while he watched and recorded everything. And y'all, he didn't just watch, he directed these encounters like some sick, twisted movie director. These events, which prosecutors call freak-offs, were drug-fueled and coercive, and Cassie testified that she was given substances to make her compliant. But here's what really gets me heated. Diddy used the recordings of these encounters as blackmail to ensure Cassie's compliance. That's not just abuse, that's psychological warfare. It's like holding someone's dignity hostage and saying, if you ever try to leave me, I'll destroy your reputation. The level of manipulation is absolutely sickening, and don't even get me started on the physical violence. Dawn Richard, former member of Danity Kane, provided graphic testimony about witnessing Combs assault Cassie at his Los Angeles mansion in 2009. She described watching this man storm into the kitchen, yelling about his eggs, and then attempting to hit Cassie with a skillet. When that wasn't enough for his rage, he punched, kicked, and dragged her upstairs by her hair while Dawn listened to breaking glass and screaming from the 3rd floor.
So we go to the wooden hanger incident. And this is what ended Cassie and Carey Morgan's friendship. And she basically said that Diddy walked into Cassie's house and they were sitting at the table. And by the way, Mark Agnifilo asked her if they were doing drugs or drugs were on the table, and she said no. And I went back and to my notes, and Cassie actually said that they were doing drugs or drugs were on the table. Anyway, she said that he walked in and he was like, "Who is she cheating on me with?" Like, meaning Cassie. And then he grabbed her by the throat, Carey Morgan, and then hit her on the head with this wooden hanger.
Dawn Richard didn't intervene because she feared for her own safety. And can you blame her? She testified that she frequently saw Combs physically abuse Ventura, including punching, choking, slapping, and kicking her, often triggered by Cassie simply expressing her opinions or standing up for herself. Imagine living in a world where having an opinion could get you beaten with kitchen utensils. And then there's the infamous 2016 hotel incident that we all saw on that security footage. Y'all remember when that video dropped and everyone's jaws hit the floor? The surveillance footage shows Combs violently assaulting Cassie in a Los Angeles hotel hallway. And when I tell you that video was like watching someone's soul being crushed in real time, that's exactly what it was. After that footage went public, Diddy posted an apology on Instagram calling his actions inexcusable, but then had the audacity to delete it later. That's like setting someone's house on fire, saying sorry, and then taking back the apology because you changed your mind. But let's talk about Cassie's mother, Regina Ventura, because her testimony absolutely destroyed me. This woman testified about receiving threats from Diddy and being physically sick over his threats to release inappropriate recordings of her daughter. Can you imagine being a mother and having someone threaten to humiliate your child like that? She also confirmed seeing bruises on Cassie's body in 2011, which she photographed to document the abuse. This woman was collecting evidence because she knew something terrible was happening to her baby. Now, let's talk about Carey Morgan, Cassie's former best friend, because her testimony reveals just how toxic and dangerous this whole situation was. Carey testified about the wooden hanger incident that we heard in that clip, where Diddy grabbed her by the throat and hit her on the head with a wooden hanger because he thought Cassie was cheating. But here's the part that really shows you how deep this manipulation went. After Diddy assaulted Carey, Cassie didn't support her friend. Instead, Cassie seemed to take Diddy's side, which ended their friendship.
So after this incident occurred, Cassie didn't really think it was a big deal, according to Carey Morgan. That's what Carey Morgan said, and this is what ended their friendship, because she was like, you know, kind of like a get over it type of thing. And this is me talking, not her, I'm paraphrasing. But Carey kind of thought that Cassie took Diddy's side, and not hers.
But here's the thing that breaks my heart. This isn't unusual behavior for abuse victims. When you're being controlled and manipulated, you often turn against people who threaten that relationship because you're terrified of what your abuser will do if you don't comply. Cassie wasn't choosing Diddy over her friend. She was choosing survival over resistance, and the manipulation didn't stop there. After Carrie got a lawyer and was planning to file a lawsuit, Cassie met with her at a pizza place and offered her $30,000 and an NDA to keep quiet. Now, some people might say Cassie was complicit, but I see a woman who was so controlled that she was being used as Diddy's cleanup crew for his own violent behavior.
She was like, I would like you to sign this NDA and Sean Combs will offer you XYZ in cash. And Carrie Morgan said she decided to do that and she got $30,000 and had to sign an NDA.
But let's talk about the scope of what federal agents found when they raided Diddy's properties. Because honey, this wasn't just a few questionable items. This was like a whole warehouse of evidence. Homeland Security agents found AR-15 upper receivers, gun magazines, and over 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant, along with various other items that I can't describe in detail because we keep it family friendly. But let me put this in perspective. 1,000 bottles is not personal use. That's industrial level planning for whatever was happening at these properties. Some of the guns had defaced serial numbers, which tells you everything you need to know about how serious this criminal enterprise allegedly was. This wasn't just about inappropriate private encounters. This was about weapons, intimidation, and control on a massive scale. And let's not forget about the testimony from Sheree Hayes, a male who participated in these encounters. He testified about participating in multiple inappropriate encounters with Combs and Ventura, and while he described Ventura as seemingly willing, he also noted moments where she appeared to be in discomfort. But here's the thing, when someone is being coerced and controlled, their consent isn't really consent at all. The emotional toll all of this took on Cassie is absolutely heartbreaking. She broke down on the stand recounting suicidal thoughts in 2023 due to traumatic flashbacks from her time with Combs. This woman was so traumatized by her experiences that she was contemplating ending her own life just to escape the memories. And people want to call her a gold digger? The audacity. What really gets me is how the defense is trying to paint this as some kind of consensual lifestyle choice. They're arguing that Combs lived a consensual swinger lifestyle, not a criminal one, but there's a huge difference between consenting adults exploring this and someone being coerced, drugged, blackmailed, and physically abused into compliance. That's not swinging, that's slavery with extra steps. The pattern that emerges from all this testimony is clear as day. This was a systematic operation designed to control, exploit, and abuse vulnerable people, particularly women. And the most insidious part is how it was all wrapped up in the glamour and power of the music industry, making it seem like these people were living the dream when they were actually living a nightmare. Now, we're going to dive into how this alleged criminal enterprise operated, the other victims who have come forward, and why this case represents so much more than just one man's downfall. It's about an entire system that allowed this to happen for decades. The empire of exploitation. First, let's talk numbers, because when I tell you this is massive, I mean massive. We're looking at over 70 civil lawsuits filed against Combs since November 2023, with allegations spanning from 1990 to 2023. That's over 3 decades of alleged abuse, and it gets worse. At least 120 individuals, including 25 minors, have come forward with allegations. 25 minors, y'all. We're talking about children as young as 9 and 10 years old. Attorney Tony Busby, who's representing many of these victims, has been absolutely fearless in taking on this case. This man has essentially said, we're not backing down from anyone, and I'm here for that energy. He's been clear that some celebrities have privately settled with victims to avoid being named in lawsuits, which tells you that this web of alleged misconduct reaches far beyond just Diddy. Now let's break down how this alleged criminal enterprise operated, because the federal charges paint a picture that's absolutely chilling. Combs is facing racketeering conspiracies, trafficking by force, fraud or coercion, and transportation to engage in prostitution. If convicted, he could face life in prison, and honestly, that might not be enough for what these victims have endured. The prosecution alleges that Combs ran a criminal enterprise from 2004 to 2024 through Bad Boy Entertainment and other ventures, engaging in trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. That's not a music label. That's a crime syndicate masquerading as entertainment. And the level of organization was absolutely insane. Employees allegedly facilitated these inappropriate encounters by booking hotels, arranging travel, and supplying substances. It's like they had a whole department dedicated to organizing these horrific events. Let me tell you about some of the other brave souls who've come forward, because their stories will absolutely destroy you. Take Joy Dickerson Neal, who alleges that Combs drugged and assaulted her while she was a college student in 1990 to 1991, recording the assault and distributing it. This was before the internet, y'all, and this man was already using recordings to humiliate and control his victims. Then there's Crystal McKinney, who claims Combs drugged and assaulted her in a New York studio in 2003, and Thalia Graves, who alleges that Combs and his bodyguard drugged and assaulted her at a studio in 2001, recording the assault. Do you see the pattern here? This man allegedly had a system for drugging, assaulting, and then recording his victims for future blackmail. But what really makes my blood boil is how this man used his power and influence to silence people. Take the situation with Kid Cudi. Cassie testified that when she briefly dated Kid Cudi in 2012, Diddy threatened his life and was allegedly behind an arson attack on Cudi's car. Imagine being so possessive and controlling that you're literally trying to burn people's cars because they dated your ex. That's not jealousy, that's psychopathic behavior. And let's talk about how the music industry enabled this for decades. The case has sparked discussions about non-disclosure agreements and power dynamics in the music industry, with comparisons to the R. Kelly case. But here's the thing, this is so much bigger than R. Kelly because of the sheer scope and the number of people allegedly involved. The testimony from producer Rodney Lil Rod Jones absolutely floored me. This man filed a 105-page lawsuit, alleging Combs ran a racketeering enterprise involving substances, illegal firearms, and solicitation of minors and adult entertainers. He claims Combs assaulted him and forced him into inappropriate acts, and also named other celebrities as accomplices. This wasn't just about what happened to romantic partners. This was about anyone who got too close to this man's operation. Now let's address the elephant in the room, the defense strategy. Diddy's lawyers are trying to argue that this was all consensual and that accusers are just seeking financial gain. But let me tell you something. When you have dozens of people coming forward with similar stories spanning decades, that's not a money grab. That's a pattern. That's like saying all these people got together in some kind of cosmic coincidence to make up the same types of stories. The math ain't mathing. Combs' defense team argues he lived a consensual swinger lifestyle and claims Ventura was a willing participant. But they can't explain away the bruises, the recordings used for blackmail, the weapons, the threats, or the children who have come forward. You can't lifestyle choice your way out of felony charges, honey. And can we talk about how this man tried to control the narrative even from jail? Multiple bail denials cite Combs' attempts to influence witnesses and public opinion from jail. Even locked up, he's still trying to manipulate and control. That tells you everything you need to know about his character. The cultural impact of this case is absolutely massive. Combs' music has been pulled from platforms, his streaming figures dropped 1.8%, and various honors have been revoked. Howard University revoked his honorary doctorate, New York City took back his key to the city, and Miami-Dade County revoked Sean Combs' Day. When institutions are running away from you like that, you know you've hit rock bottom. But here's what really gets me emotional. Cassie broke down on the stand talking about suicidal thoughts in 2023 due to traumatic flashbacks. This woman was so traumatized that she was considering ending her life just to escape the memories. And yet, she found the courage to come forward, to face her abuser in court, and to tell her truth for the world to hear. That's not just bravery, that's heroism. The fact that Cassie settled her civil lawsuit against Diddy for $20 million in 2023 shows you that even he knew these allegations had merit. You don't pay $20 million to make false accusations go away. That's please don't let the world know what I really did money. And let's not forget about all the people who enabled this system, the assistants who booked the hotels, the security who carried weapons, the staff who cleaned up afterwards, the industry executives who turned blind eyes. This wasn't just one man's crimes. This was an entire network of people who either participated or stayed silent. What breaks my heart is thinking about all the victims who never got their day in court, who were silenced by NDAs, who were too scared to come forward, or who weren't believed when they tried. How many careers were destroyed? How many dreams were crushed? How many lives were forever changed by this alleged reign of terror? The trial is ongoing, and we're likely to hear even more devastating testimony as it continues. But what's already clear is that this case represents a turning point. It's about accountability for people who thought their wealth and power made them untouchable. It's about believing survivors when they find the courage to speak their truth. And it's about dismantling systems that allow predators to thrive. To all the survivors who came forward, Cassie, Dawn Richard, Kerry Morgan, and the hundreds of others, you are warriors. You took on one of the most powerful men in entertainment, knowing the risks, knowing you'd be attacked and questioned and doubted, but you did it anyway because truth matters and justice matters. And to everyone watching this unfold, remember that behind every headline, every court document, every piece of testimony, there are real human beings who survived unspeakable trauma. They deserve our support, our belief, and our commitment to creating a world where this kind of systematic abuse can never happen again. This isn't just about one fallen celebrity. This is about all of us standing up and saying enough. Enough silence, enough enablement, enough looking the other way when when power is used to harm the vulnerable. The kingdom is falling, and it's about damn time. The truth is finally coming to light, and no amount of money, power, or influence can put that genie back in the bottle. Justice may be slow, but when it comes hard. And honey, it's coming for everyone who participated in this alleged empire of exploitation. Thanks for watching. Check out more cards on the screen. Hear that? That's one of Diddy's accusers speaking out. Dude said Diddy kept him locked up like a slave, doing all kind of messed up stuff. We thought that was the end until he dropped a bomb that flipped the whole courtroom upside down.
Said that he alleges that Diddy strapped a to his face and made him parade around a party. And he says that in this party, Jay-Z, Beyonce, LeBron, and Gloria Estefan saw him in rare form.
He claims Jay-Z and Beyonce were not just witnesses, they were involved. It's messy, it's disturbing, and it might blow the lid off a whole web of elite secrets. Let's get into it. The shocking claims. Let's start with the bombshell that had the courtroom erupting. There's this man named Joseph Manzaro who filed a lawsuit against Diddy in April 2025. This man wasn't playing around. He came with some serious allegations on Jay-Z and Beyonce that had jaws dropping to the floor. According to Manzaro's initial filing, he was at a party in Miami back in 2015 where things got wild in the worst possible way. Y'all, Manzaro claims he was drugged and taken to Star Island in Miami for what was supposed to be Christian King Combs' 17th birthday party. But this wasn't your regular birthday celebration with cake and ice cream. Nah, according to Manzaro, he was paraded around in a compromising mask, stripped down, and forced to wear inappropriate items while being humiliated in front of several high-profile guests.
Said that he alleges that Diddy strapped a to his face and made him parade around a party.
And who were these guests, you ask? Well, Manzaro dropped some major names. He claimed that Jay-Z and Beyonce themselves were right there at this so-called freak-off party. Can you imagine? The power couple of the music industry allegedly witnessing this whole scene.
And he says that in this party, Jay-Z, Beyonce, LeBron, and Gloria Estefan saw him in rare form because of this.
Manzaro even gives details about what Beyonce supposedly said when she saw him. According to his account, Queen Bey was shocked, saying,
"Oh my God, why is there a half-naked white man with a penis mask standing here in front of me?"
Now, I don't know about y'all, but hearing that the Beyonce might have been at one of these parties has me shook. This is the woman who gives us empowerment anthems, who represents black excellence, who seems to have the most controlled public image in the game. And Manzaro's saying she was right there witnessing this mess. That's like finding out your strict Sunday school teacher has a secret OnlyFans. It just doesn't compute. But wait, it gets even wilder. Manzaro didn't just stop at saying Jay and Bey were there. He went into graphic detail about what allegedly happened to him at this party. According to the lawsuit, after being paraded around in front of these celebs, Manzaro claims he was stripped naked and forced to wear inappropriate attire.
He says that he was then stripped naked and they put him in a small thong bikini bottom and a black leather mask with a rubber dam forcibly inserted and zipped closed over his head. He was made to wear that as well. It sounds like some sort of like toy.
The accuser also claims that he was taken to a secret tunnel in Diddy's mansion where he started regaining consciousness from whatever drugs he was allegedly given. That's when he says he looked up and saw Jay-Z and Beyonce standing there. This whole scenario sounds like something out of a horror movie, not something you'd expect at a celebrity party.
And then the guy says he claims that he was taken to a secret tunnel in Diddy's mansion on Star Island, and at that time he started regaining consciousness. And he looks up and he notices that Jay-Z and Beyonce are there.
But here's where things get complicated. Shortly after these bombshell allegations dropped, Jay-Z's attorney, Alex Spiro, came out swinging with receipts. He stated that Jay-Z wasn't even in Florida at the time of this alleged incident. According to Spiro, Jay was at an NYU speaking event in New York on April 1st, 2015, provable by public records and media coverage.
He said Mr. Carter wasn't in Florida at the time to witness this incident. He was engaged in easily findable public activities that prove that he was not at this event. This is more nonsense that just erodes the trust in our justice system.
LeBron James, who was also named in the lawsuit, had his spokesperson tell TMZ that the claims were false and didn't even merit a response. They stated that a basic internet search would show LeBron was playing basketball for the Cleveland Cavaliers in April 2015 and was never in Miami during that time.
Now, a spokesperson for LeBron told TMZ, because they broke the story, that this is false and that he doesn't even merit a report. This doesn't even merit a report or response. A basic internet search shows that LeBron, what LeBron was doing on April of 2015, he was playing basketball for the Cleveland Cavaliers and was never in Miami.
These denials were so strong and backed by evidence that on April 11th, 2025, Manzaro filed an amendment to his lawsuit removing Beyonce and Jay-Z's names. So we know for sure they weren't at that specific alleged party. But here's where it gets interesting. While they might not have been at this alleged incident, both Jay-Z and Beyonce have a long history with Diddy and attended many of his parties over the years. According to a BBC article, Jay-Z and Beyonce even released new music at his events, suggesting a close professional relationship. There are countless photos of them at his famous white parties and other events, and a 2014 New Year's Eve party in Miami saw Beyonce dancing to her song, Yance. But wait, there's more. Jay-Z is also facing a separate lawsuit involving Diddy. Filed in October 2024 and amended in December 2024, this lawsuit accuses Jay-Z and Diddy of assaulting a 13-year-old girl at a party after the MTV Video Music Awards in New York back in 2000. Jay-Z has denied these allegations, calling the lawsuit a blackmail attempt. But let's be real, when there's smoke, is there fire? As more revelations come out in the Diddy trial, people are questioning how much celebrities who attended his parties knew about what was allegedly going on. 50 Cent, who has been vocal about Diddy for years, recently dropped some tea about why he never attended these infamous parties.
I'm just not with all that like all of the stuff that he's doing. I'm not into that type of stuff.
And in another clip, 50 Cent made an even more explosive claim about why many celebrities aren't speaking out against Diddy.
So a lot of the celebrity culture that you don't hear saying anything is because they participate.
Damn, that's a major accusation, suggesting that celebrities who aren't speaking out against Diddy might have participated in these alleged freak-offs themselves. Could Jay-Z and Beyonce's silence on the matter beyond having their lawyers get them removed from the lawsuit mean something deeper? Or is it just smart PR to stay completely out of this mess? According to Reddit discussions, there seems to be a divide among celebrities who attended Diddy's parties. Some users claim that certain celebs, like Denzel Washington, reportedly left parties early when things started getting wild, while others allegedly stayed for the after parties where the real questionable stuff allegedly happened. As one Reddit user put it, the real parties happen late at night. There's a video where Diddy tells the kids to leave because the real party is about to start. In an X post asking for comments from celebrities known to attend Diddy's parties, the list included Beyonce, Jay-Z, Kim Kardashian, Kanye West, Naomi Campbell, Mary J. Blige, Swizz Beatz, Leonardo DiCaprio, among many others. The sheer number of high-profile names connected to these events shows just how deeply embedded Diddy was in the entertainment elite. Speaking of Leonardo DiCaprio, did y'all know that Diddy once named him as his favorite party guest? In a clip that's resurfaced amid this scandal, Diddy says,
and I'm sure that's probably not public information yet, but who's the person that's number one on that invitation list?
Leonardo DiCaprio.
So what we're seeing here is a complex web of connections, allegations, and denials. While Jay-Z and Beyonce have successfully proven they weren't at the specific party Mansrow described, their long association with Diddy and presence at numerous other events raises questions about what they might have seen or known over the years. As this trial continues to unfold, we're likely to hear more names dropped and more connections made. But one thing's for sure, the entertainment industry is being shaken to its core, and no one, not even music's most powerful couple, is completely untouched by the fallout. Cassie's bombshell testimony. Cassie and Diddy were in a relationship for about a decade, starting when she was just 19 years old and he was in his 40s. That age gap alone is giving major creep vibes, but what she alleges happened during their relationship goes way beyond just an inappropriate age difference. According to Cassie's testimony, she was subjected to years of physical abuse, coercion, and forced participation in what Diddy allegedly called freak-offs. These weren't just wild parties, they were allegedly orchestrated sexual events where Cassie claimed she was forced to engage in acts with male escorts while Diddy directed, watched, and sometimes participated.
She said that the first step was there was like and they would have to do. It would be her and the escort, and she would have to talk out loud and describe what she was seeing. She would have to be very descriptive because allegedly Puff would want to hear that.
Cassie testified that these freak-offs happened hundreds of times throughout their relationship. Can you imagine the trauma?
Nice that her husband is watching this when they're reading these texts. She's reading them.
Yes, her current husband, Alex Fine, has been supporting her through this testimony, which has to be incredibly difficult for both of them. But that just shows what a real man looks like, standing by your partner through trauma recovery, not inflicting trauma like Diddy allegedly did. One of the most disturbing parts of Cassie's testimony is how she breaks down the freak-offs into detailed steps, showing just how methodical and predatory these encounters allegedly were.
So that first step was the descriptive foreplay, and then step 2 is the touching. Now, step 2, she alleges, is that's when all the baby oil comes out. Step 3 is oral, and she says that a lot of times she would rush to get to the oral because she just wanted to get it over with, because she kept making a point of she didn't want to do this. She just was doing it because she was so in love, and she said she didn't want him to go and do it with anybody else.
The details get even more graphic and disturbing, with Cassie alleging that Diddy would make her interact with the male escorts in demeaning ways, and that the encounters often ended with particularly degrading acts that I won't repeat here. But suffice it to say, this was not consensual activity. It was allegedly coerced through a combination of emotional manipulation, physical intimidation, and financial control. Speaking of financial control, let's not forget that Diddy wasn't just Cassie's boyfriend, he was her boss. He signed her to a 10-album deal with Bad Boy Records, but only one album was ever released. This power dynamic adds another disturbing layer to the allegations.
You know, this is all about her being his girlfriend.
Yeah.
But he's also her boss. I mean, he signed her to a 10-album deal, and for some reason, wow, only one album gets made. How does that happen? I mean, that says a lot.
This is a classic case of how abusers use professional power to control their victims. By holding Cassie's career in his hands, Diddy allegedly had another form of leverage over her. The defense is trying to paint a different picture, suggesting that these were consensual activities that Cassie participated in willingly. They've presented text messages from early in their relationship where Cassie expresses excitement about their intimate life.
Anyway, Tex, I'm always ready to freak off, LOL, Cassie says. I can't wait to stare at some big black... That's from 2009.
But as many abuse experts will tell you, texts from the beginning of a relationship don't prove anything about what happened later on. The defense is grasping at straws here, trying to discredit Cassie's credibility by showing she was initially enthusiastic about their relationship. Like, duh. Most abusive relationships don't start with abuse. They evolve into it as the abuser gains more control. For those who might be skeptical about Cassie's claims, there's concrete evidence of Diddy's violence. In 2016, a hotel surveillance video captured Diddy physically assaulting Cassie in a hallway.
Diddy's then-girlfriend Cassie is trying to get onto an elevator when the music mogul, wearing just a white towel and socks, chases her down, grabs her by the back of the head, and throws her to the ground.
This is absolutely horrifying to watch, and it corroborates Cassie's claims about physical abuse. Diddy later issued a statement about this video saying,
"But I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable."
But what's really telling is what the defense is trying to use as an excuse for this behavior.
I think the most laughable thing the defense did today was suggest that the infamous 2016 beating at the Intercontinental, that he was withdrawing from painkillers.
Blame it on drugs, but
that's what led to it.
Yeah, right. Because drug withdrawal makes you chase down your girlfriend and assault her? Give me a break. That's a weak excuse that doesn't hold water, especially since Cassie testified that she doesn't remember him going through withdrawals. Another disturbing revelation from Cassie's testimony involves how Diddy allegedly reacted when she tried to date rapper Kid Cudi. According to Cassie, Diddy threatened Kid Cudi's life and even set his car on fire out of jealousy. This shows just how controlling and dangerous Diddy allegedly was. Cassie also testified about the extensive use of substances during these freak-offs, saying she often used ecstasy to cope with what was happening to her. The prosecution has presented evidence including drugs and paraphernalia seized from Diddy's hotel room during his arrest in September 2024, which they claim were used in these coercive encounters. What's particularly compelling about Cassie's testimony is how consistent it is with accounts from other accusers, including Jonathan Oddie, a former adult film actor who claimed in 2018 to be Diddy's slave. According to reports, Cassie confirmed some of Oddie's claims during her testimony, which has brought renewed attention to his allegations. The jury has reportedly been shown 5 photographs from these alleged freak-offs, and their reactions speak volumes.
Jury saw 5 pictures of freak-offs.
And it's like people all over, all contorted and...
That had to be the prosecution, Drew.
It sounded like it, Trudy, because it sounded like the jury was like, ugh! Like they just really did not want to look at these pictures.
Can you imagine being on that jury and having to look at those images? The prosecution is presenting a powerful case, backed by Cassie's emotional testimony, corroborating witnesses like Dawn Richard, who testified that she witnessed Diddy assaulting Cassie, and physical evidence including the hotel surveillance video and items seized during Diddy's arrest. What makes Cassie's testimony even more impressive is that she's delivering it while 8 months pregnant. The strength and courage it takes to face your abuser in court, relive traumatic experiences, and do it all while carrying a child is truly remarkable. Social media has been overwhelmingly supportive of Cassie, with Reddit users calling her brave and expressing hopes for her well-being. One user wrote, "Hopes Cassie has a large support system and an excellent therapist, noting the devastation of repeating trauma in court." Another added, "Hope testimony, including forced acts, would ruin Diddy's reputation." Her current husband, Alex Fine, has also made it clear that he stands with her, stating, "I did not save Cassie as some have said. To say that is an insult to the years of painful work my wife has done to save herself." Cassie saved Cassie. This powerful statement acknowledges Cassie's own strength and resilience in escaping an allegedly abusive relationship. The defense is trying various tactics to discredit Cassie, including suggesting she had financial motives for coming forward. They've highlighted her $20 million settlement from a 2023 civil lawsuit and claimed she had a $30 million book rights proposal, painting her as an opportunist. But given the evidence supporting her claims, including the video of Diddy assaulting her, these attempts to shift blame seem desperate. One particularly concerning aspect of Cassie's testimony is the revelation about how Diddy allegedly used recording and blackmail to maintain control over her. She testified that he recorded these freak-offs and threatened to release the videos if she didn't comply with his demands. This form of sexual coercion is particularly insidious, as it creates a constant state of fear and compliance. As Cassie's testimony continues to unfold, it's painting a picture of a man who allegedly used his power, wealth, and influence to control, abuse, and exploit those around him. And it raises serious questions about how he was able to operate this way for so long without consequences. The answer likely lies in the industry's willingness to look the other way when powerful men behave badly, and in the fear that kept victims silent for years. The trial is expected to last about 8 weeks in total, with more witnesses set to testify in the coming days. But Cassie's testimony alone has already been devastating for Diddy's defense, providing a detailed, consistent, and compelling account of years of alleged abuse and coercion. Combined with the physical evidence and corroborating witnesses, it creates a powerful case against the once untouchable music mogul. The industry reckoning. As this Diddy trial unfolds, we're witnessing nothing less than a full-scale reckoning in the entertainment industry. This isn't just about one man's alleged crimes. It's about the entire culture that enabled them. It's like pulling a loose thread on a sweater and watching the whole thing unravel before our eyes. Let's be real. These allegations against Diddy didn't happen in a vacuum. They allegedly happened at star-studded parties with plenty of witnesses, at recording studios with staff present, and in a music industry where rumors have circulated for years. So why is it only now, with Diddy behind bars awaiting trial, that people are speaking out? The answer is simple: fear and power. Diddy was, and maybe still is, one of the most powerful men in music. As Cassie testified, she was afraid to leave him because of threats, blackmail, and the control he had over her career. And it wasn't just Cassie. Allegedly, many others were afraid of crossing him. Take this clip from DJ Academics discussing the trial.
And I think that's why Diddy's team realized they don't got no more real witnesses. Everybody else is fluff. So rather than sit here and wait for them to keep drumming up let's go to trial.
This suggests that potential witnesses may be hesitant to testify for Diddy, either because they don't want to be associated with him anymore or because they're afraid of implicating themselves. It's a sign that the power dynamics are shifting, and people who once feared Diddy now fear the consequences of standing by him. But the industry reckoning goes beyond just Diddy. His trial is exposing how many industry insiders potentially knew about or even participated in questionable behavior. As 50 Cent bluntly put it,
So a lot of the celebrity culture that you don't hear saying anything is because they participate.
Now 50 Cent has a long-standing beef with Diddy, so take his words with a grain of salt. But the sentiment rings true. Silence can sometimes speak volumes. And as more allegations come to light, it's forcing us to question whether some of music's biggest names were complicit through their silence. The guest list for Diddy's parties read like a who's who of entertainment royalty. According to X posts, celebrities from Leonardo DiCaprio to Kim Kardashian, Jay-Z to Beyonce, and countless others attended his events. An X post by at History and Memes showing photos from Diddy's all-white parties went viral with over 84 million views, demonstrating the public's fascination with who might have been involved. But according to Reddit discussions, there may have been a divide among attendees. Some allegedly left when things started getting wild, while others stayed for what came later.
Again, when you hear so many unbelievable sounding stories, you start to question everything.
Yep.
So it's going to be very, very tough to find, jurors who aren't biased in some way, shape, or form.
This raises a critical question. If so many people were potentially aware of what was happening, why didn't anyone step in? The answer may lie in an observation from the trial about how Diddy compensated his staff.
He really paid his employees well, really well.
Oh, nobody would turn on him.
No, and even the secretaries were making $100,000.
Just like in other cases involving powerful predators, think Jeffrey Epstein, financial incentives and fear of retaliation can be powerful motivators for silence. As one commenter noted, they love working for this guy. It's not really a job. They're just, hey, we just got to put together a freak out. They fly in private jets and a lot of extra pink cocaine around. Yep, they meet famous people. But the industry reckoning isn't just about who knew what and when. It's also about how the entire system is designed to protect powerful men. Take this exchange about why Cassie couldn't simply leave.
So maybe this is consensual. Why would you go back if you had an outlet?
That's true.
But that's where him being her boss comes into play too.
Well, she also can't fully cut him off, right? Because she's afraid of him.
This highlights a crucial aspect of these alleged abuses. They weren't just personal, they were professional. Diddy allegedly used his position as Cassie's record label boss to control her, making it nearly impossible for her to escape without sacrificing her entire career. This is a pattern we've seen repeatedly in the entertainment industry, where powerful men can make or break careers with a single word. In a resurfaced clip, Diddy himself seems to acknowledge the problematic nature of his parties, almost predicting his current situation.
You're gonna hear about my parties, they're gonna be shutting them down, they're gonna probably be arresting me, doing all types of crazy things just because we wanna have a good time.
But what Diddy frames as having a good time is being described in court as something much darker. And perhaps most disturbing of all is a clip from a 2002 interview where Diddy jokes about elements of his parties that, in light of current allegations, seem sinister.
Right. You need locks on the doors? Okay, this is sounding kind of dangerous now.
It's a little kinky, but rock with me, but just check it out. You need a lot of heat.
The casualness with which he mentions locks on the doors as a party necessity is chilling when viewed through the lens of the current allegations. The impact of this trial extends beyond just Diddy and the music industry. It's forcing a broader societal conversation about power, consent, and accountability. The #MeToo movement opened the door for these discussions, but cases like Diddy's are pushing them further, challenging us to examine how we as a society enable and protect abusers. DJ Academics touches on this when he says,
I think this was the start of a new Me Too era when Diddy got taken down. And the public consensus was like, this guy's as guilty as it could be. And then we just start seeing so many allegations about everybody.
Indeed, the floodgates seem to be opening, with more accusers coming forward not just against Diddy, but against other figures in the industry as well. It's as if Diddy's arrest has emboldened people who previously felt they couldn't speak out. The defense's strategy is worth noting too. They're trying to frame this as a case about consensual activities rather than coercion and abuse.
Yeah, I mean, Diddy's defense basically said that he's a swinger, not a criminal.
They're trying to roll, see?
This approach, attempting to characterize alleged crimes as alternative lifestyle choices, is a common tactic in cases involving sexual misconduct by powerful men. It's a way of deflecting attention from power dynamics and focusing instead on sexual practices that may seem unconventional but aren't inherently harmful if consensual. What makes this case different, however, is the overwhelming evidence, not just testimonies from multiple accusers, but also that damning hotel surveillance video showing Diddy physically assaulting Cassie. It's hard to claim enthusiastic consent when there's video evidence of violence. The most serious charges, racketeering, conspiracy, and trafficking, carry potential life sentences. At minimum, a conviction on the trafficking charges would come with a mandatory 15-year prison term. Add to that the likelihood of substantial fines, asset forfeiture, and the flurry of civil lawsuits that would follow a criminal conviction, and Diddy could lose not just his freedom, but his entire fortune and legacy. But beyond the legal consequences for Diddy himself, the outcome of this trial could have far-reaching implications for the industry as a whole. If Diddy is convicted, it sends a powerful message that no one, not even a billionaire music mogul, is above the law. It could embolden more victims to come forward, not just against Diddy, but against other powerful figures in entertainment. Thanks for watching. If you had a good time, keep the adventure alive by clicking on one of the suggested videos on your screen right now for more amazing content.